10 years ago, I was what you'd call an average 8-year-old. No anxiety, extremely extroverted. I wouldn't shut up until I met this one kid. He was my age. His name was Tyler. And I got forced to sit next to Tyler one day in school. I was one of the good kids and he was one of the bad kids, so I had to kind of influence his behavior in a positive way. Then I started hanging out with Tyler at lunchtime. Not because I wanted to, but because he manipulated me into doing so. I tried to run away so many times and play with my friends who were playing tiggy or basketball or footy, whatever it was, but he wouldn't let me. He'd either grab me and pull me back, or he'd say something like, I don't know, I'm gonna bash you, or I'm gonna tell your friends that you're something or whatever. So I was forced to play with him every single lunchtime, and it got to a point where I was running behind him one day and a grade sixer came past us and he gave us a high five. But the grade sixer somehow ended up hitting my face. I don't really know how it happened, and I started crying because of that. Not because of it hurt me, it just felt like I couldn't go anywhere. I was just a fucking victim to everyone at school. I'd cry to the teacher. Tyler called me a pussy. The year sixes, I don't really think they liked me anymore because they probably thought I was a pussy. And it got that bad that I went home that day, talked to my mum about what had happened. She knew that, you know, I wasn't really hanging out with my friends, but I told her it got really bad. So the day, maybe after that or a couple of days after that, she came into school to actually talk to Tyler before school started. So my mum and this Tyler kid walk into a room which is next to our classroom. They're in there for maybe 5 minutes. My mum doesn't really say anything bad because I'm at the door listening, making sure they don't see me. She doesn't say anything bad, but the Tyler kid walks out of the room extremely pissed off at me, like really, really angry. And I don't think we talk again unless we have to. He plays alone at lunch. I think he brings another person along with him. And then I go back to playing with my real friends. He left around a year later after this. I don't think he left because of me. And 2 years or 3 years later, I went on a camp around 3 hours away from home. It was the first camp I'd ever been on. I was extremely homesick. I hated it the first day I got there. It was out in the woods. 2 or 3 people from my school, I didn't know anybody. And guess who was there? Tyler. Fuck. I walk into our dorm and I see him in the hallway, pull my head down straight away, walk into my room, and I just try to avoid him at all costs. I think I avoid him for the first day because there's like hundreds of kids there. This is like the first time I've ever felt extremely anxious, really introverted, and I'll explain how this impacted me throughout the video. Second day, he sees me. Doesn't say a word to me. He just looks at me, to his friends, who you can kind of tell are like the bad boys, right? And they just start laughing. I don't really know what it was. My head was kind of round in year 6, that might have been that, but I think it was because of what Tyler had said to his friends about me probably. He hung around 3 people at that camp. And one of the friends was like the troublemaker of the camp. No one wanted to fuck with this dude, right? And I'm actually pretty good friends with him now. I'm not like good friends with him, but he goes to my school and he definitely remembers me. So that's pretty funny how it all comes around. The camp lasted for 5 days if you go back to year 6, and I hated it. One of the worst experiences of my life because I was in this constant fear of anxiety, wondering what this Tyler kid would do to me. Because I was so bound to him doing something to me, bro. Because I felt a lot of regret telling my mum and getting him really angry because of that. After the camp, I feel powerless. Just shit, like a nobody. And because of this sense of powerlessness, if that's even a word, coupled with a few other events in my life, which some of you will know of, I'm not going to go into them, my face starts to turn really red because I'm a really anxious person now. Everything, the smallest thing makes my face turn extremely red. The teacher calls on me in class, Jack. She says my name. My face glows up red for no reason, right? I put my hand up to answer a question I'm really confident in. Even though I'm extremely confident in answering the question, I still go red and people still laugh at me. Like, what do I do? So, what do? You resort to not talking. That's what you do. And when you develop something like this, when you're 12, 13 years old, it fucks with your whole life. You don't speak, you don't learn how to communicate. You're so below everyone else. Everyone else gets ahead of you. It was the second last day of year 6. My face red problem was very, very prevalent. But it was footy day this day. So we got to wear face paint. So, of course I took up the opportunity. I wore face paint so my face wouldn't go red. And it was the only day in probably around 6 months where I could genuinely be myself. So I was myself for that day. It was one of the most freeing days of my life, one of the most enjoyable days of my life. I won the 500-kilometre trophy, which I'll put up on the screen right now. The day after that, it was the last day of primary school. We watched a movie called Wonder. I think it's called Wonder, I'm pretty sure. About some kid with a helmet, and his face isn't like a normal face. Probably the best way I can put it. And I could relate a lot to this guy. His favourite day of the year was Halloween because he got to put a mask on his face. That's the same with me. My favourite day of the year was footy day because I got to cover up my face. Not because it was, nothing different, but because I went extremely red. I wasn't embarrassed of being anxious. I wasn't embarrassed of doing something embarrassing. I was embarrassed of doing something embarrassing and my face going red because of it. Hold on, I need to take a piss real quick. I'll be back. Oh, I'm back. So the last day of primary school, we watched Wonder. And all I did when I got home was kind of, be kind of nostalgic about all the memories I'd made at primary school. But I think I watched the Wonder movie again because I can relate so much to the main character of it. And I think I watched it a couple more times on the weekend. He was the only person I could actually relate to, this kid, right? And I wasn't even I was so blessed to be in the position I was compared to this guy in the movie. But I just felt so much like him. Because all it was because of my red face, that was it. I used to blow up like a tomato, bro. And every time someone would notice, at least one person would notice and they'd say something about it. I watched it again and again and again over the holidays. I don't really know why I did. And I went into high school. Now, I've mentioned these stories multiple times in videos. You guys probably know what turned me into an even more anxious person throughout high school and especially like the first week. I'm not going to mention them. The one thing I will mention that really kickstarted a lot of things was one day, it was maybe like a couple of weeks, I can't really remember, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month into year 7, my first year of high school, I was in Indonesian class. And we had to give a speech that we'd known so far of the words we learnt, like a couple of sentences maybe in Indonesian. And somehow everybody else before me did a really good job, but I couldn't remember shit. All I could remember was terima kasih, which was thank you, and that was the end line. I had to make it there before I even said it. So I went up there trying to read off a script and it just sounded so shit. Everyone started laughing. You can tell my face would have blown up red because the teacher's down there, the kids are down there, and now everyone in my high school knows I go extremely red. Shit. So this continues. I get laughed at because of it. People stare at me sometimes. I put my head down a lot because I don't want people to see me. Right, my face goes extremely red, I just put my head down. Everyone knows I'm hiding it. So it gets to a point where I ask my mum for medication. My anxiety, my introvertism, my shyness is so bad. I thought it was a stupid decision of her to say no, but I'm actually grateful she didn't. Because I'll get to it in a minute, but it put me through so much, like pain in school, and I learned so much from it. I even went as far, I didn't actually do this, but it was definitely a thought when my mum said no about medication, and that was putting makeup on my face. Just so the makeup could cover up my cheeks that would go extremely red and I could finally act confident. That's it, that's all I wanted to be. I didn't care about getting embarrassed. I just cared about looking embarrassed. I see these kids in my school, they're doing the most funky ass shit ever, and they don't care. They go up in class, they give a speech, they don't really care. It's a bad speech, but they don't care. They act confident. I just wanted that. But I couldn't do that while being embarrassed, having my face blow up and still act like I'm confident. It just wouldn't work, it looked so weird. And to make matters worse, around the end of year 7, it kind of happened quite a bit though. My parents started fighting. Not like physical stuff, but just vocal. And it really got to me because my parents were the only people I could kind of relate to. Not really relate to, I couldn't really relate to them, but I could feel comfortable being myself with. And now I was scared to even go out sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes. As most families do, I guess, they argue sometimes. I just didn't want to leave my room. And this is something I haven't told in videos before, but I think I'm ready to say it. This affected me quite a bit. This affected me a lot, bro. More than I've ever said, because I've always been scared of saying it. But I'm older now, so I can say it. Okay, nothing bad, but it just amplified my anxiety a lot. I was an extreme introvert now, extremely shy around people. So year 8 started, and all I have is myself and basketball, that's it. It's all I have. And maybe, sometimes I feel myself around my friends, sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel okay at school, right? Because maybe we're playing sport and my face is already red from running around, so who cares if it goes red? That's the only time I felt comfortable. Went through year 8 and I started my YouTube channel at the start of 2021. As most of you know, I'm not going to repeat the same stories I've told multiple times, but I kind of have to say this for the point of the video. I was averaging about a subscriber a day, and that subscriber would make, was one of the only things that made me feel comfortable in the last 2 years. Except seeing progress in basketball and beating people in basketball, the only comfort I really saw was actually seeing the subscribers. I know it's bad, you shouldn't, look at the metrics and the comments and the likes on when you go on a YouTube channel, but it was the only thing that actually put a smile on my face. Because I actually feel like people valued me. I know this sounds like I'm being a massive victim. Trust me, I'm not preaching this mindset. I'm just simply portraying or speaking from the perspective of my 15-year-old self. That's all I'm doing. This is what motivated me, honestly, seeing those comments, right, seeing those likes, just that one like. I got a dislike one time and it really hurt me. Despite the follower count, I still cared a lot about what people think. I think I got to around 100K on TikTok and I thought that would have solved all my problems. I'm kind of TikTok famous now. Nothing can affect me, but really it only made it worse because I put an element of perfection on myself now. I had to be perfect because I had followers. I had to be better than other people, right? So I only put more anxiety on me. So as you can kind of imagine, because of this, perfection that I had to live up to, or I believed I had to live up to, I grew really attached to these Sigma edits. The Patrick Bateman edits, the Andrew Tate edits, the Sigma type of stuff, the real masculine, or, I'm not going to call it toxic masculinity, but masculinity that goes a bit too far. I'll just call it that. I started putting my hands like this in class. I started being really, my posture was perfect, which I guess is a good thing, but it was just over analytical. I wouldn't smile anymore because I was that, tough dude. It was a completely different me. I didn't get attention for that. If anything, I just got looked down upon even more. And I only acted like this Sigma male for attention. Because of my deepest insecurities. I lacked attention when I was younger, so I wanted more of it. I needed to be this Sigma male. It only made everything worse. Because at least I could kind of relate to people when I was trying to be myself. I was smiling because I've always been a big smiler in my life. So over time, I started to realize that that's not the way to do things. That's not really going to help anything. You might as well just try your best to be a little bit yourself. Start smiling more, bro. Stop with this fucking grind set shit. You're sitting there in class, try not to smile, try not to laugh. What the fuck is that? I was a bit of a dumbass. Around this time last year, I shared a video about my anxiety, actually. It was another video on anxiety. I didn't go as deep as this video, but I shared some of my, past experiences on it. And a lot of people actually related to me. It was one of the first videos I've actually made where I've shared my story about my anxiety growing up. It was maybe a quarter of this video. This video is gonna be a lot longer. And I could actually relate to people because I thought I was the only one. No one at my school isn't very big. At the time, it was maybe 120 kids in my year level. Now, because I'm in year 12, is maybe 70 or 60. A lot less now, but there was a lot more back then. Maybe one other person looked like they experienced the same level of anxiety as me, but I always thought I had it worse. And seeing these comments, I'll read the comments on this video as well. On that video, it was 11 months ago, I think, at this point. Yeah, I felt not alone anymore. Shit. Other people actually experience this. Other people's faces go red. Other people feel anxious at school. Holy shit. Of course they do. You know, it's common sense when you think about it. But I, at the time, thought I was the only one. So after hearing these comments and the stories of people who have escaped this anxiety, it's gotten a whole lot better. Oh, because I was better at this time. I was better, but it was still affecting me. The anxiety was still getting to me, and it still is. I'll get to that in a minute. I went out in nature for like 3 hours per day on the school holidays, you know, this time last year. And I kind of just studied what the hell was wrong with me. Why the hell was I so anxious? I got to the root cause of it. I always wanted attention. I just wanted to feel loved. I wanted to have high status, that's it. Yeah, it's tough to admit, it is. And it took a while for me to admit that to myself. I just want attention because it just feels like you're weak. But you'd rather tell yourself that hard truth or that harsh truth than let it go and lie to yourself the rest of your entire life. So yeah, that definitely helps me. And I go through this year of what it's been so far, and I'm pretty good. As I've said in multiple videos, I can't really relate to a lot of people at my school just because I don't really do the things they do. You know, I'm just making content, replying to comments, reading books, studying, school. That's really it. It's really all I'm doing. And recording videos. So I can't really relate to a lot of people my age, which yeah, affects the anxiety a lot more. But I'm definitely better. I've definitely realized that the mind isn't as smart as you think it is. It's very dumb. Your anxiety, 90% of what you worry about will never happen. And that's just a fact. The mind is very dumb. People aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. You know, just the basic things. You know, everyone has this same mindset as you. It might not be amplified as much as you. These are the things I've realized over the years and I'm telling to myself. But everybody thinks about themselves more than they think about you. And it's something that I can tell myself all the time, but the anxiety's still there, bro. You know, the anxiety's still there. I can tell myself these quotes, right? It's never gonna happen. People aren't thinking about you. Other people's opinions don't matter. I can say this to myself all I want, but the anxiety will still be there because I have always wanted attention. I have. It's definitely gotten better. I've learned to give myself more attention. And I'd say 90% of the time I'm fine without a lot of attention from other people, right? But sometimes it sneaks in. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I feel shit. Sometimes I start comparing myself to people. And sometimes when I'm around a group of people who I don't relate to, I get very, very anxious because I want their attention. I have not mastered myself. I'm not perfect, bro. I'm not. So you're probably expecting some amazing ending, some trick or tip I gave myself that ridded my anxiety. It's definitely gotten better by working on myself, you know, putting time to my craft, making videos like these, improving my communication skills, but bro, it's still there. And please don't take this video like I'm a victim. I'm simply sharing my own experience. I'm extremely blessed. I'm extremely blessed with this anxiety. It's taught me so much. Trust me, if you're in my position, it gets fucking better. It does. It gets better. Trust me, always does. It's getting better by the day for me. All right, you just gotta challenge those thoughts, man. Challenge those thoughts. If you're a girl watching this video, just challenge those thoughts every single day. I took some notes to this video, just some, so I didn't go off track. And the other thing I said was, as long as your actions reflect the character you wish to have, there's no reason why everything won't work out. That's it. Hope this helped. I don't know, it probably didn't. I probably just yapped. I don't even know if I'll upload this. But fuck it, who cares? I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.